evolutionary trait where you drop a person in the jungle, and after years, he either learns to survive or he dies. Right? You can't help but be pragmatic. Right? You can't help but be opportunistic when you don't have that much opportunity. But when you have every choice in the world, it's almost like being in New York City has been a curse and a gift because it almost gives you too many options. It lets you have choices, and when you have choices, it allows you to make bad choices. This past week, I watched my entire fan base bitch, whine, and complain about the media. The media. They're attacking Kyrie. They're insinuating mental health problems. They're lying on Kyrie. Ain't nobody lying on Kyrie. In Kyrie's Instagram post, you see signs of everything I talk about when you become a champion, an all-NBA player, a consensus and unanimous all-star. Right? You're satisfied. Kyrie will never be poor ever in his life. He won't. And some of the attitudes and some of the things that you're seeing, like when he makes that Instagram post, he says it himself that his mental health is more important than a game in sports entertainment. He was letting us know, I am trying to get right. He doesn't talk about a shoulder. He doesn't talk about, an injury. I'm trying to get right. The team is the most important thing to me. He says specifically, this game of sports entertainment matters more than someone's mental health and well-being, right? Question mark. Or the real life things that happen to people every day, but they still have to perform for the NBA and its fans. Question mark. Right? Question mark. It's all about doing it for the fans and the organization that love you so much. Question mark. Think again. That's what he said. And I quote, think again. He said, the game that's played in front of you as entertainment, it'll never be as serious as dealing with life. Well, let me talk to you about dealing with life. I'm the father of 3 children. I have bills. I stress. I want to create opportunities for my community. I want to do well in this world. And I feel no anger, no distress or disdain for Kyrie Irving. He is a magnificent player. But beyond that, more than anybody, more than anything, he is a human being. And when human beings have everything that they want at their disposal, to us, from the outside looking in, it seems like that person is an asshole. No, that's what humans do when they have everything they want. Gorgeous Instagram model girlfriend, giant sprawling mansion and property. They text and call with famous people all the time. They access to anything that they want. More money than they can potentially spend. Right? Kyrie's mind is not in the same place that a player like RJ Barrett's mind is. RJ Barrett won a game today. He's probably joking in the locker room. Everybody feels good in MSG. 3-game winning streak. But he's looking at his stat line and he's saying to himself, I am a superstar. I'm supposed to be putting up numbers. I'm supposed to be in that top 5 of the rookie of the year list. He's not. And you know, if he's ever going to be great, you know what he is inside that locker room? He's hungry. You know what Kyrie Irving is not? And I'm not basing it off of any media report. I'm not basing off of any demeanor. I'm basing it off of the things that the man says. I'm reading his words. He says, and I quote, very, very little in the real world that most people live in, because there are actually things that matter going on within it. Like figuring out a life that means more to you than a damn ball going into a hoop. You can afford to say that. Because you are one of the greatest basketball phenoms and you've proved it already. In order to keep going, in the later stages of your career, when you've done everything, you have to have a lot of inner asshole in you. And when I mean inner asshole, I don't mean it in a negative way. But that inner asshole is what Michael Jordan had. Michael Jordan didn't want to lose a game of tiddlywinks. Michael Jordan wouldn't want to lose a race to everybody's car in a parking lot. Michael Jordan wants to beat you in gambling. He wants to beat you in golf. He wants to beat you in drinking. And you know who else was like that? Kobe Bean Bryant. Hunger. I don't see dudes who came here to win championships. I see dudes who came here to do the things that they do after their career is over. If a championship comes, hey. And what's worse is for me as a Nets fan watching this, watching the scrappy little Knicks just beat the brakes off of a Portland team that probably was partying. You know, when Dame come to New York, he got to get in the booth, right? He got to go check a couple producers. He probably was chilling, you know, somewhere in town. And Dame, please, I think, you know, he's a true killer. But when the Portland team got into town, they would, you know, you come to New York, you party. I understand that. There's cities that you do that. Miami, the Lakers. Shit. Memphis is a great town to get the barbecue and hit the strip club. Right? When the Grizzlies were good, a lot of teams would go in there and have stinkers. And that grind factory that they got down there was just playing crazy defense, and they'd win and eke out games even though you knew that team was never going to win a championship, but they'd beat teams because it's a fun place to go. Human nature deciding basketball games. Right. The Knicks, hungry team, fighting for their self-respect in this city. A city that's basically left them for dead because they didn't get the two superstars that they wanted. And it may have been the best thing that ever happened to this organization. The humiliation, the losing, that might just push that organization to finally do the right thing and do something that my organization was talking about, which was take no shortcuts. So you love and you show love to that Knicks team, because they could very well be building something there. And if they're paying attention, they should learn something from what's happening to the Nets. And it's something called complacency. And it terrifies me as a Nets fan. Because this whole season has turned into a scrimmage. Right? I watched Melo tonight put a performance in front of his friends and family, in front of the town that he calls his home, his point of origin, New York City, Brooklyn, New York to be specific. A player that would have killed, that would have begged Sean Marks, and probably did, and probably had his agent call 1 time, 2 times, 3 times, 4 times, not enough times, to try to get on that team so that he could come home and do what I do. Do homework with his son, shoot hoops with his son, be around his wifey, stay out of trouble with these sack chasing groupies on the road. Stay undivorced. He would have solved so many problems for the Nets. When Dinwiddie does that dribble drive that now every single team in the NBA is hip to, I watched them build picket fences around Jared Allen to stop him from catching a lob and dunking. They know what you're doing, Kenny Atkinson. I watched Jared Allen go from the number 1 field goal percentage to 6th in a week. because this is the NBA. The scouts are incredible.